the old scarer. All of the engines on Sodor look forward to Halloween, and they love watching the Fat Controller's fireworks display. And they also love hearing Bertram's ghost story. A long time ago, continued Bertram, a big engine has finished all of his scrap metal. He was finally ready to go home to his nice warm shed after he had delivered all of his pieces of scrap from the smelter's yard and was about to go home. Unfortunately, the engine took the wrong home. But suddenly, a claw grabbed him and then left his tender, and they smelted it, leaving his tender behind. That was the story about how the old engine got scrapped, finished Bertram. The 3 engines were amazed but scared, especially Duke, who was feeling quite shaky. At last the Fat Controller arrived. Bertram and Duke, I want you two to take some trucks from the scrapyard tonight, he said. On Halloween, said Duke, feeling afraid. Don't worry, he said. You two will be back in time for the fireworks. So please feel free to be brave. And he walked away. Bertram puffed excitedly out of the sheds, feeling like he had been brave for a long time. But Duke, who was not looking forward to this, was still afraid all the same. He kept thinking about Bertram's ghost story as he and Bertram settled off to the scrapyards. Soon the 2 best friends reached the coastal track where it led to the newly restored flour mill, and it also especially led to the scrapyards. Duke was afraid. Make sure the ghost doesn't get you, he said, looking worried. Don't worry, said Bertram. That story I told you all wasn't real at all, he said. If you're afraid of anything, don't worry. I'm here to protect you, he said. I'm the old warrior, remember? I'm never afraid of anything. Duke felt happy, and the salty air he was enjoying had already took his mind off what Bertram told he and the other engines. By the time the 2 were at the scrapyard, they found their empty trucks, but that have not yet been filled up with scrap. Just then they heard the sounds of staircases banging. Duke thought it could be the old ghost engine, but Bertram was still calming the old engine down. Luckily, they heard the sound of a door opening and shutting. It was the scrapyard manager. He had some jobs for them. Bertram and Duke, he said, I'd like you two to collect the pieces of scrap from the smelter's shed, he said. Whoever goes first might be quick and right on time. And the scrapyard manager walked away. Duke looked worried. Can you go in there for me? Said Bertram. Of course I can, said Bertram kindly, and Bertram shunted his empty trucks into the smelter's yard. Duke was very happy and watched Bertram go into the smelter's shed at once. Moments later in the smelter's shed, Bertram had finally collected all the pieces of scrap metal. He was about to come out when he heard the sound of chains rattling. He had soon ignored it. He was still about to go when he didn't notice that a thick white blanket toppled him all over. Bertram was surprised. "Help!" he cried. "The ghost has got me!" he cried, and he steamed out of the smelter's shed as fast as his wheels could carry him. But in the meantime, Duke, still trying to feel brave, was ready to make his way to the smelter's shed when he heard an engine underneath a blanket. "It's the ghost!" He whimpered and raced out of the scrapyard. "Help!" cried Bertram, but Duke didn't listen. Until after escaping the scrapyard, the two engines were having a wild race around the coastal track. Duke, still trying to get away, was frightened, as Bertram from inside was. "Help me!" cried Bertram. "The ghost has got me!" But Duke was still frightened, but Bertram from inside was. Meanwhile, all the other engines were fast asleep in their berths when they heard a familiar whistle. It's Duke," said Charlie. "What's going on?" And there they saw Duke looking very frightened. "It's the ghost," he said. "He's after me." Then they heard another engine's whistle. There was the blanket engine from inside. Soon after all the racing and rattling, the thick white sheet was blown by the wind, and out was Bertram himself. "That's not the ghost engine," said Arthur. "That's Bertram." And then, indeed, it was. "Duke," said Bertram, "it's you, and it is me. I'm sorry I gave you a fright." Then Duke was feeling very startled. "But you're the old warrior. You can't be scared." "I know," said Bertram, feeling embarrassed. "I have got to admit, I did feel like the ghost engine was inside me." Then Charlie chuckled. "Really?" he said. How can a brave engine such as yourself be scared of your own ghost stories?" "I know," said Bertram. He was feeling embarrassed. The Fat Controller soon came in. He was not happy. "What is all this fuss?" he said. We heard some creaky noises in the scrapyard, sir," said Duke, "and they sounded like one of our ghost stories." "And we heard them moaning," said Bertram. "And groaning," said Duke. The Fat Controller was still not interested. "For your punishment, you will go back and collect the scrap metal at once." "Yes, sir," said the two engines, looking very, very, very embarrassed. Until moments later, the two engines did come back, and this time they collected all of the scrap metal, and they were never scared of anything at all, especially around the scrapyards anymore. The two old engines were happy to be working together again, and they were both proud and really useful.